G'day guys, Tillis20 here and welcome back to Marble Mountain. Today's episode is full of announcements and big updates for the city of Montana because we're going to be changing a whole bunch of stuff in this city. Announcement number one, the save game is now on the Steam Workshop, so if you want to build in Marble Mountain or just fly around and check out some of the things we've been doing, then you can go and check the link in the description and that'll take you to the save game. When you download the save game, you'll need to subscribe to all the mods and assets in either one of my collections. I have a mods and assets collection that has basically everything that I use in this save game, including all my graphics settings. And then there's the LITE version, which is full of just the essential mods and assets for this save game, and that will run a lot smoother on your PC. I notice a huge difference between the two collections. Enjoy it, because yeah, we've done so much over the last few months, and I think, yeah, I'm really excited for you guys to check it out. And let me know if you end up building in it, or if you end up using it and changing anything around. You can finally build that military base everyone's been begging me to build. I'll probably never get around to doing that. Announcement number two. A couple of months ago, we did a build competition in Marble Mountain. It was actually in Montana, and it was this office park that was built in this corner here, and it just looks so cool. I had so much fun checking out everyone's builds in that competition, and we've decided that we're going to do another one. So this time we're not going to be building in Montana. This time I've decided to give you guys a much bigger plot of land in Marble Mountain to build in. And that plot is over here, which is, I'm going to be honest, a pretty cool spot. I think there is so much you can do in this little area too, and I shouldn't call it a little area because it's actually a pretty decent size. So the way that this competition works is, if you want to have your build in Marble Mountain, or at least potentially be in this series, then download the save game and build something in this wonky rectangle that I've plopped down here. This district is the maximum size you can build in, and I will be choosing the build that is probably the most fitting for this area. So building another city here would look really weird, and I won't be choosing something like that. I probably won't be choosing a military base unless it looks really damn cool. You have to use all the mods and assets that I use, so don't download anything extra. And I mean, just have fun with it. Just try and build within the style of this area. I mean, it is like a pretty, it is in the middle of nowhere. There's not going to be much around here in the future. Maybe a couple of farming towns at some stage, but it's really most probably going to be some sort of town or petrol station or truck stop. Maybe even a factory might look cool around here. Like, I think, you know, with like a warehouse and, you know, like a big industrial area might be fitting for this spot. I don't know. Like, I've got a couple of ideas, but I really just want to see what you guys come up with. What you need to do is you need to build here and then upload some pictures to the Discord server. We have a channel there that is all dedicated to the competition, and in about a month or so, I'll tell you the exact dates, we will announce the winner, and then that winner will have their build placed in here using the magic of Move It. I'll explain how to do that a little later. But yeah, enjoy. Any questions, hit me up on Discord. A link to that's in the description, and I'll talk a bit more about that in the time lapse too. So that's two announcements down. The last one is something that you probably have already guessed from the title of this episode. I'm going to be changing the downtown because, well, mostly the Skyline. I've been having a bit of I've been having second thoughts about the Skyline for quite a while. Mostly this building here just being way too big. I think it just doesn't really fit in with the whole area, and the city is never going to be absolutely massive. You know, potentially it's going to be about this size and over this mountain this way too. I'm going to flatten this out a bit more. So it's not going to be massive. It's not going to be a massive city. So it doesn't make sense to have such a prominent skyline like this. Though I do like a nice big skyline. I think that I can choose some better buildings to better fit this area. And I actually want the skyline to spread out a little bit more along the other side of the highway too, rather than just on this side. There are a couple of other buildings that are just a little bit too large, and I've downloaded a bunch that I'm going to scroll through, and we'll test out which ones look the best. And yeah, and nothing that I place down at the moment is going to be set in stone. I usually have to sit on something for a little while until I can totally figure out exactly if that's going to be the look for the city. And I also want your feedback too, because I'm going to be plopping down a couple of things that might be a touch, I don't know, controversial. Maybe not controversial, but I don't know. Some people might disagree with what I'm doing, and I would like to hear you guys out. But I'd also want you to hear me out too. So I think I'm going to use this area here just to place down some of the buildings that I want to potentially place as my skyline. Basically, the sort of skyline that I want is I want one building to be really iconic. So to be a building that is like quite unique and something that is pretty iconic to the city. So for instance, I've been downloading like buildings that are a little bit more like this, and buildings that are a bit more like that. And I'm just going to place down a bunch of them over here just so I can show you the types of buildings that I'm thinking of. These are all the buildings that I have in the running to be my potential new unique building for Montana. You can see they're all in a very similar style. They're all quite pointy and very tower-esque. I'm trying to go for that sort of a style. The US Bank Tower is obviously very iconic for LA, and I can't get away with using that one. As much as I want to place that down, I think it's probably just a little bit too LA. So I'm going to be going for other buildings instead. Now, some I have to immediately eliminate is, unfortunately, this new one by King Leno. As much as I want to place that one down, it's the same. It's actually a little bit taller than my original building, so I actually have to eliminate it, which sucks. And the same with this one too. It is still a little bit too tall. I need to be going for something a little bit shorter. And a couple of other ones I have to unfortunately eliminate is this one here. When I zoom out, not even that far, the LOD is just I don't know, it glitches out. It looks a little strange. I think the same for this one too. And there's another one over here that does exactly the same thing. And it's such a shame, because that is, yeah, it's such a cool looking building. And look, this is basically what I do with all my skylines. I just go through a bit of a process of elimination, getting rid of ones that I don't think are going to fit. Like this one, now looking at it, I think it's probably a bit too New York. Whereas I'm trying to go for a west coast of America, you know, real California style building. So I think, you know, as much as I like this one, I think it's in Dubai. I think it really looks like it too. So I'm gonna get rid of that one too. So I'm just going through and getting rid of any ones that I think aren't going to work. I really like this one. I think this is actually I'm not really sure whereabouts this is, but I think it's a European building. But I think it would work quite nicely for Montana. So I'm gonna keep that. This one here is one from SimCity, and I really like the idea of having a building from SimCity in Montana. Oh man, it's raining so hard outside right now. It's probably going through the mic. This guy here, it's got some weird LEDs on the top, which I think look quite cool, but don't really work for Montana. I'm going to keep going with this, and I'll show you the final couple. So I think I've chosen the finalists. This building is definitely going to go in. I think this might actually be the tallest building in Montana. I'm potentially getting rid of this one and some of the other taller ones. I really like this building. I love the tower on top, so I think I'm going to choose that one. This US Bank Tower, I'm not going to plot this one down, but I just wanted to show you that I am going to take this building here, which is the crystallization building made by Quad. He he has modeled it off this building, and originally I was like, no, like I can't use it, it's too similar to the US Bank Tower. However, there are actually quite a lot of differences with it, so this is why I said this is going to be a little bit controversial, because I'm going to be placing this building down because I really like it. And let me know if you think it's too LA. Like if it's starting to look too LA, then yeah, then let me know, and I'll end up changing this building out. But I'm gonna place this one down. It's not gonna be the tallest building in Montana, but it definitely will be an iconic one. The other contestants are this building here, which is actually probably one of the oldest buildings on the Steam Workshop. I think it was built in 2015 or something. Oh, it's actually modeled off a SimCity 4 building, which makes me want to plop it down more. So this one is very, very close. I really like that one. This one's also one that I would potentially plop down, but it's probably I don't know, a little bit too old, maybe like a little bit of an older style. And I don't know about this one anymore. I don't think I'll place that one down. I can't have too many buildings that are like towers. I need to have a mixture of just office blocks that are very standard buildings, and then some more unique ones. Okay, I think that's about it. I'm going to start placing these ones down, and I'm also going to place down a bunch of museums because I haven't placed down any of them yet, and I think the downtown really could use some, so they will also be placed down too. But let me know in the comments what you think, how everything looks. It's definitely not going to be set in stone, and if you want to hit me up with any suggestions, then definitely go and do that. Alright, let's start building. Alright, guys, sorry for such a long-winded live play. That really went on for much longer than I had anticipated, but at least you get a pretty good idea of how I like to work on my downtowns and skylines. They are like the most important parts in my cities, I think. Like, I usually like to have a really nice and prominent and unique skyline that, yeah, I think I do need to spend a bit of time deciding how it's going to look and all that sort of stuff. So apologies for such a long-winded explanation. The finished product, I think, is quite fitting for Marble Mountain and Montana, but please do let me know in the comments below. I am still shuffling things around and figuring out whether this is the skyline for me. I end up placing down the crystallization XL building, which is by Quad. I think it is so fitting for Montana, and it's still very iconic to this area. It's still quite different to the US Bank building, US Bank Tower in Los Angeles, so I guess it is a little bit of difference there, but definitely open to suggestions. If you guys think it's too similar to LA, then yeah, let me know. And I did end up leaving that building that I said that I really liked. It's sort of, well, it's not similar at all, but it you know, it's, I guess, in the same realm of uniqueness. You'll see it's somewhere on the other side of this highway that stretches in the middle of the downtown. But you guys will get a pretty good look at the skyline in the cinematics, which you should totally stick around for. It's actually not even that far away from the cinematics now, because I've ran with for so long. But yeah, the cinematics are great. They give a really good idea of how everything looks compared to the rest of the Marble Mountain region. The skyline is a lot shorter and not as tall as the last one, which is something that I really wanted to achieve. Just because the scale of Marble Mountain, like the whole region of Marble Mountain, you know, I guess this is like a scaled down version of the Californian state, and you know, obviously it's got a completely different shape, but you get the idea. We're talking about like an area that's going to encompass quite a lot of different towns. So in saying that, Montana is going to need to be like a scaled down version of like a big capital city. A lot of people have been, you know, telling me that, you know, the skyline doesn't look right for the city because it looks way too big compared to what the city looks like. And completely right. But for starters, the city isn't finished. We're only like halfway through building the city. And also, the scale of the city is just scaled down. I didn't want this to be like a massive city like Springwood or like Bordertown. I wanted this to be a lot smaller, just so it's a bit more manageable and it actually fits in with the whole scale of Marble Mountain. And I also think that the buildings that I choose to are way more fitting for this area. I've tried to go for mostly more modern skyscrapers, and with a couple more slightly older style skyscrapers, which I'm trying to say. I'm having a hard time speaking English today. What I'm doing at the moment is I'm just detailing downtown, and this is on the other side of the highway, which I wanted to be a little bit more run down, a bit more ghetto-esque. So I'm putting down a lot of trash cans and a lot of parking spaces too, and I'll be placing quite a bit of cracks in the pavement, just to really get that feel of kind of like what it's like when you cross a highway or you cross the train tracks, and you kind of go, oh, this is slightly different to where I was before. I wanted this side of the highway just to be a little bit more run down. And the reason being is there is a fair bit of industry around this side too, so you'll see a few warehouses, and the train tracks are pretty close here, and so it is the overpass as well, the highway that is stretching along the mountainside. So this isn't a very desirable side of Montana, and I wanted the downtown and at least the surface of this area to really reflect that too. And also, if you are someone who has been adding to the wiki of Marble Mountain, then totally hit up that and make some stories up that I think would be best fitted for this side of the tracks. This area is called Resto, by the way, which I actually kind of think is a bit of a shit name for a suburb. No offense if you live in a town or a suburb called Resto. Where I live at the moment, it's got a pretty bad name too, and but the reputation's fine. But unfortunately, Resto does not have a good reputation, so if you want to hit up the wiki and write some stories for that, then go and do that. And I would just hold off writing any more stories for the downtown, just for the time being, just because I want to get some feedback on what people think about certain areas, and we might change like a couple of buildings. We'll just see how everything, what people think of the downtown. But generally, I'm quite happy with how everything looks. If anything, I think that I might have gone for probably too many buildings now in the downtown. It might be a little bit too spread out, but I do also think that it's going to be a lot more fitting when we add more suburbs for Montana, and it starts getting a little bit more established as a city, because at the moment we don't really have that many suburbs, and I'm actually kind of considering changing a couple of different areas in Montana in the next few episodes, maybe. Just like an idea. You know, when you change one area and then you want to start changing everything else, I'm trying really hard not to, go ahead and just start completely ripping out suburbs and rechanging everything. And I don't know if you noticed, but I plopped down a museum. This is actually the art gallery, I believe. And yeah, I'm yet to see what happens with this, or if it adds anything extra. I doubt it will. It's probably just going to sit there and do nothing. But it does look quite cool. It's a cool looking building, and I think it's quite fitting for an area like this. So I decided to give it some parking lots, and I'll jazz this area up as well. But we are starting to get to the end of the episode, and I've barely spoken about the competition, so I better quickly mention that now. Guys, if you are interested in entering into the competition, your best source for information is to go and check out the Discord channel that's all about that competition. Basically, just check that out, get some ideas from other people, and just start creating. Download the Savegame from the Steam Workshop, and don't forget to download those assets and mods that are required. And most importantly, just don't download anything extra. You might actually be subscribed to some other assets, so just check before you add anything that I don't have in my collection already, because otherwise I can't select that as the winning one. But basically, have lots of fun with it. I really can't wait to see your creations, and yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The competition will end in about a month's time. All that is in the channel description. Guys, that is it for this episode. It's kind of been a bit lousy. I feel like I've just spent half the time rambling and it's been a live play, so apologies for that. I'll have a much better episode for you next week. I do hope you like the downtown. I hope you like the new Skyline, and hit me up in the comments below if you have any suggestions or want to shoot me in a direction of a building that's on the Steam Workshop. Then leave a link to that in the description. But anyway, guys, have a great week, and I'll see you in the next episode. See you later.